Hello everyone, let's get started. Okay, just like I said, my name is David Silva. Thanks again for inviting me to speak to you guys and share a little bit about my story, why I chose to become an entrepreneur and co-found a company. And really the point of my presentation is to understand that it's okay to go outside your comfort zone, to try some new opportunities and try something different in order to better your career and better your overall your life. So let's get started. Now I wanted to start off with this quote from the CEO of IBM, Ginny Rometty, who said, "Growth and comfort do not exist." And that's a key point of my presentation too, is in order to really capitalize on your full potential, to really go beyond and really explore new opportunities both in your professional career and personally, you have to get away from the comfort zone. It's nice to be in one company, being comfortable in that setting environment, but there's also so many opportunities when you go beyond that and when you go outside of that. So that's sort of what I'm going to be discussing in my presentation. All right, so let's start it off. Who am I? Well, I'm from a small town of Santa Maria, California, which is located in between LA and San Francisco. It's pretty much an agricultural town with famous for its strawberries. And I have an interesting background. Both of my parents were not born here in the States. My dad is originally from Mexico, my mom from Korea, who happened to have met in Europe when my dad was in the army. And this is important too because that'll sort of perhaps explain why I chose to move abroad and start a company. When I started early in my career, as a child, I always had an interest in computers. I think when I was in the first or second grade, I was exposed to an Apple IIe, and that was amazing. That hooked me to computers. And one of my favorite games was Oregon Trail, and I played that almost any time there was an opportunity to play it in the classroom. So really, computers was something I really was into and really inspired me to choose the career that I chose today. And to some extent, I did start off, try to create my own company or become an entrepreneur. I started drawing cartoons and trying to sell them to local neighborhood families, kids, drawing like Bugs Bunny and Tasmanian Devil. And I was pretty good at it, but no, not really. I also did, your traditional mowing the lawns and trying to offer your services doing that. And again, that was exciting, that was fun. An opportunity to make a little bit money. And throughout my grade school, I really enjoyed mathematics and science. That were my core sort of subjects I really excelled at and really enjoyed growing up. And one of my favorite science classes is physics. And so this is what inspired me to pursue engineering, to eventually pursue a career in computer science. And around junior high and also in high school, I joined Mesa, and many of you may know what Mesa is, and that really further inspired me to pursue a career in engineering. That's when I exposed myself to, what are the principles of engineering and the excitement of actually competing against other students, building bridges or building mousetrap cars. So that was fun, and it made engineering fun, and that further enhanced my goals and focus towards engineering. So when it was time to actually apply for college, I decided to pursue computer engineering. Again, I had an interest in engineering. I love computers. That just made sense for me to pursue computer engineering, computer science degree. So I went ahead and applied and went to USC, the University of Southern California. I graduated with my degree in computer science, computer engineering with honors, magna cum laude. And I chose USC because it had a pretty good engineering school. I really enjoyed the sort of family atmosphere that they encourage among prospective students and with alumni, which is the Trojan family. So I really had a great time at USC. And then as soon as I graduated, I went ahead and started my career at IBM. Why IBM? at USC, IBM had a partnership with USC, which was called Project Breakthrough. And that was a program basically to work with, identify students at USC that had potential and to come and work for IBM during the summer. And I was very fortunate to basically, pursue that and communicate with the individuals that were part of the Project Breakthrough with IBM. So I was very lucky to have an internship every summer at USC, and it just made sense for me as soon as I graduated to work at IBM. And I worked for IBM for close to basically 8 years. And now today, at IBM I was a software engineer. It was great. I learned a lot at IBM, but I wanted something different. I wanted a challenge, something different than what I was accustomed to. So I had a buddy of mine that had this idea that wanted to create a concept of allowing people to basically wager on sports amongst each other, basically peer-to-peer. And that sort of motivation came from, I believe it was back in 2008, it was during the Summer Olympics, Summer Olympics. You had Michael Phelps trying to break the record of 8 gold medals, and also around that time you had Tiger Woods trying to break Jack Nicklaus's major record. So there was always these prop bets, amongst each other, who, my buddy may say, oh, I think Mike Phelps is going to have 9 gold medals. So okay, let's put it at like $5 or something like that. So that sort of inspired, and we wanted to pursue that concept, that idea, and create something different out there in the market. And I'll discuss more about what Tailorbet is. And just as a disclaimer, I'm here not to encourage anyone to bet or do anything like that. This is just more informational. So this is, I'm not going to use the word bet too often in my presentation. I'm going to use a different terminology. So yeah. And these are the founders, myself, in the middle. You have David McKenzie and Bruce Elliott. So we were basically good buddies. David McKenzie, one on the far left, had the idea, and we were good friends, and wanted me to join him and basically create this concept of Tailorbet, of being able to wager online and bet on sports. So where am I located? Right now I'm actually living in the UK. I'm on an island called the Isle of Man, and it's in between Ireland and England, and in the Irish Sea. It's a very small island. It's about, I guess, 80,000 or so people. So it's very small. And the Isle of Man is also known for its high-speed sort of competitive bike competition. These are guys, it's an annual race. They go like 200 miles an hour through the track, through basically the roads on the island. And another reason why we also moved the company to the Isle of Man was this is also a jurisdiction in the world that actually issues a license to be able to do the sort of business that we wanted to do, which was being able to provide a software platform to bet on sports. Okay, so I guess why did I do it? Why did I decide to leave my career at IBM and try something different? So one of the reasons why I left was the vision, like I alluded to earlier, which we had a vision of disrupting the whole betting industry out there currently that exists. There wasn't enough innovation, very similar to the phone. Everyone is accustomed to punching keypads on the phone, and now you have these new phones that don't have a keypad, they just have a screen. So very similar thing, that you had an industry that was not innovating. So our solution was basically allowing you to create your own market, your own bet, and be able to set your own odds and wager what you want to wager, and not be limited to what these companies out there that are established to say, hey, we're only going to allow you to place bets on these certain opportunities or markets out there when it comes to sports. So we wanted to really disrupt the industry, and that's what our vision was, and also get people to share those sort of bets, which you can't really do out there. So that's sort of the concept that we wanted to pursue. And this is just briefly sort of what our USP, why our product was so different out there in the market. Again, our product allowed you to bet, amongst peers, amongst friends, strangers, the ability to create, like I said, create your own bets, not being limited to what is out there. And I'll go into detail about what Tailorbet is And again, the ability to share what you create, whether it be on one of the social platforms, and share that amongst the public. Another reason why I decided to start my own company was the challenge. The challenge of actually building something from scratch and building something that as a sustainable model. And that was interesting. That was a challenge in itself. We didn't buy this prepackaged solution out there on the market. We had to create this platform, this network, this ecosystem from scratch, and that was the challenge. And also being able to create your own company. And again, this was not something that working at IBM, you get exposed to actually creating, at least for myself, creating something from scratch, being able to market it, sell it, and put it out there to the public. And again, like I said, this is sort of what we were trying to create from scratch, was just create this network where you allow people to exchange and create these beds and share them and take those beds amongst friends or strangers. So we wanted to create this concept from scratch. And another reason why I chose to start a new company, which was, for personal growth. And this is something that, we all want to pursue, try to, I guess, push ourselves to new boundaries, to test our limits, and really, see what we're capable of doing. Just like we're here, we all are going to school, either graduating from college. You want to do something because you have a goal in mind. You want to better yourself, better your career, better your life, and being able to start your own company, being able to be a leader and start from something from scratch is in itself very rewarding, very educational as you learn more by yourself, learn by your strengths and weaknesses, and enhance or improve those weaknesses, or even strengthen your skill set. So again, this was something that pursued me to start my own company. Okay, so all right, this is great. Now, what exactly do I do? I have many roles. Whenever you start a small company, you have many hats. And one of them, my key role is head of QA and test, making sure that our product, our solution is fit for market, and ensuring that whatever features, functionalities meet the requirements of the business, but also meets the requirements for our customers. So that's my first role. Another role that I have is money laundering officer. Since it's betting, it's heavily regulated. One of the reasons is to prevent any sort of funneling of money between parties for any illegal activity, whether it be drugs or anything illegal, financing of terrorism. So that's an important part of my role, is to ensure that our platform, since it is exchanging of money, since it is betting, we have to make sure we have the appropriate measures in place to prevent that sort of activity, and ensure that if there is any such activity, that we either take action by closing the accounts and reporting that activity to the appropriate jurisdiction or to the appropriate authorities on such activity. And again, as a founder, as a co-founder, I have titles as director and also as co-founder. And again, I just want to briefly just discuss about my role as head of QA and test. Like I mentioned before, is ensuring pretty much that whatever deliverable, whatever features that we have on our product are fully tested. It meets those requirements of the business, both functional and non-functional, and also assess the risk and impact. Whatever new features that we have that we want to offer to our customers, to ensure that they work to the customer's expectation, and if they don't, ensure that we fix those issues before we go to market. And most importantly, as a software engineer, making sure that we fully test the product and ensuring that it goes through all cycles of whether it be system testing, regression testing, or performance testing. So all of that is part of my day-to-day responsibility. So in terms of functional testing, for a product of our size, since we are talking about sort of this global product of betting, of trying to offer a solution for everyone out there globally, or I try to put in place certain tools and to make sure that we can fully test our product before, during, and after development. So we use various IDEs. One of them is IntelliJ. I personally use IntelliJ, but you can use Eclipse as your preferred IDE if you do any software development. And for me specifically, when I develop my software applications for testing, I write them all in Java, and I use this this tool called TestNG, which provides some nice reports when you're running your test cases and being able to generate them on the IDE. And I'll show you some examples in future slides. Another key component, since we are basically a B2C solution, offering the solution to customers, it's important that we have some sort of web automation. And we use a tool, a package called Cucumber that allows you to create these behavior-driven sort of scenarios outlining sort of the cases and the steps in which the user would interact with the product. And again, I'll discuss more in some of the future slides. And also, we use Selenium that, when combined with Cucumber, would log into our website and basically try to test different functionalities as a user, just clicking on the browser and so forth. So, and this is one example of one of these Cucumber scenarios, again, outlining what I'm trying to test as a sort of a user, as a user of the product. In this case, being able to create an account and outlining the steps that the user would do to create an account, and using these annotations, outlining the different steps when it comes to creating an account. Opening up a Chrome browser, accessing a portal. With our solution, we actually integrate with not only sportsbook, these large sportsbook companies, but with portals, sort of these websites that promote, I guess you could say, betting online. So we have different partners. So in this case, going to one of our partners' website, signing up, entering all the details of creating an account, finally clicking on the sign up button, and finally just making sure that we get this message that says you successfully registered with the service. And this is one into specifically in detail in terms of the actual test when it comes to clicking on the button. And in this case, this is Java code, again, just outlining the step of which button I'm trying to click, and clicking on that button, handling the exception. And again, if you're very familiar with Selenium, this is very familiar to you. And yeah, that's one example. And again, the beauty of using any IDE, whether it be Eclipse or IntelliJ, is when you run these tests, you get some very nice reports telling you what steps. In this case, when I ran this test, it was okay. I was able to bring up a browser, go to the website, click on the pop-up, go to the sign-up page, but there was an error in creating an account. So in this case, I can quickly dive into my code or dive into the error message and find out why I failed and correct that problem. And again, and then run it to make sure it goes to completion and it runs successfully. So as I said, since we are a gaming company, a sports gaming company, we have to handle a lot of data, and that is sports data. So we work with a third-party provider to basically provide us all the data for basketball, for football, and NFL, and collect all that data, parse it within our system. We fetch it, we parse it, and finally, when it comes time to actually determine who won the bet, to then result in determine a winner. So this is a continuous process that we have, and again, it's all automated, so there's no manual intervention. We were able to basically develop a system that would take the data, and I'll show you some examples of taking that data, parsing every data point in that file, and finally storing it in our system to finally, when it comes time to actually determine the results of the bet, to result in. So this is one example of one of the feeds that we get from our data provider. This is an XML file, and this is the All-Star game that happened a few weeks ago. And as you can see, this particular file has a lot of data points. It tells what were the points scored during each quarter, how many team fouls, how many points were scored in the entire game. So these are all the information, all the data points that we have to parse and sort in our database in order for us to be able to resolve the markets that we provide to our customers. So that example was a team data. Now here is an example of a player data, and one for Stephen Curry. And again, you can see it provides all the key data attributes that were collected during the match: field goals, rebounds, assists, steals, points, etc. So again, this is all information that we parse and we store in our database. So in terms of, so we get all this data. What sort of possibilities do we offer to our customers when it comes to actually creating your own bet? And when you break it down, it's really millions of possibilities. The reason why I say that is because you start at the top, you're getting data for the entire season. When it comes to basketball, you're talking about all 82 games, plus the playoffs, plus the All-Star game. So you get all this data for the entire season, and then not only do you get all this data for the entire season, then you can offer markets when it comes to the month. So, how many points did a certain team score in the given month, or how many assists were done in a given month. So we have to store and be able to narrow down the data for a given month. And then next is being able to narrow it for a specific game. If you're going to, in our case, if you're going to create a bet on a specific game, we have to be able to find and identify that game and look at that data to be able to result it. And again, we allow you to create bets on team. Again, you look at the team data, and finally, the player data. So this is all the data that we collect, and if you do the math, there's a lot of opportunities that we provide to our customers. And if you look at just one NBA player, just one example, there could be 30 data points. So in that example that I showed of Stephen Curry, there's about 26 to 30 data points. So we collect all that for that particular player for all 82 games. And now the 2x3x3, the markets, these are markets that we offer to our customers. If you go onto our platform, we allow users to create bets on one game. You can create bets for the entire season, for a given month, and also being able to create markets or bets on head-to-head. So being able to say, hey, I think Stephen Curry's going to have more assists than LeBron James for a specific game. So there's a lot of permutations that we offer to our customers. And if you do the math, there's about, for any given player in the NBA league, you have about over 44,000 opportunities that you can create as an individual user for an NBA player. Now, when you consider all NBA players, so you have about over 44,000 markets, and there's about 450 players, you find out there's a possible over 20 million market opportunities if you do the math for that we can offer on our platform. So you can see that there's a lot of logic and complexity when it comes to being able to store this information and be able to result it. So this is the fun aspect of creating your own company or starting from something from scratch. Is you have this vision of, in our case, is creating a solution that anyone, you can create your own bet against friends or family or strangers. And when you don't really think about the complexity when it comes, you start with this vision, and once you build a product, once you build something, then you realize the challenges when it comes to you potentially have to resolve over 20 million markets, and that in itself is fun. Again, it can be stressful whenever there are problems, whenever you get the bet incorrect, like it's supposed to be the other person's supposed to win, and that's where it can be stressful, but it's fun. You realize that, hey, your system is not always perfect. That's the beauty of software engineering. Software is never meant to be perfect. The first iteration or the first version, you're always going to find issues. You're always going to iterate and improve. So that's also keeps my role, or keeps all of us in the company very excited and also upbeat and motivated to try to create a product, a network that can have the potential of being able to resolve all 20 million opportunities for customers. And these are some of the examples in terms of what our customers can create. Who's going to score X amount of points and assists? Who's going to have a goal and a yellow card if you're into football? How many goals will be scored between the 50th and 70th minute? So these are sort of markets that you don't normally find out there on the marketplace, because, and that's what we wanted to provide. We wanted to give you or users the power, the freedom to really create your own bet. Not be limited to what other companies sort of limit you to, what you have to select if you want to bet on sports. And again, an important aspect of our solution is the settlement speed. With our customers, they always expect their bets to be resulted very fast, because they just want to get the money and either take it out or put that money and create another bet or pose another bet. So when it comes to settlement, we've been very fortunate to be able to tweak it to a point that we can result it as fast as a minute. So what does that entail? So if you think about it, like I said before, we had to first get the data from our provider, be able to get that data, parse it, and once we parse it, put it in the database, and then finally determining when it's time to result that bet. So we've been able to get it down to a minute. In some instances, it takes longer, and this is something that whenever you create something new, you'll always find opportunities to enhance your solution. So right now, it's as fast as a minute. In some instances, it can take maybe 20 minutes to half an hour to result it. And this is something that we're continually trying to improve our solution, which is trying to build in concurrency, being able to result bets concurrently, not being limited to one bet at a time being resulted. So basically a queue, and instead have a system that you can potentially result 20 at a time, 100 at a time, and being able to get those bets settled quickly so our customers remain happy and continue to use our product. Whenever you start your own company, it's very important to have good process. This is where it enables the entire company, it enables everyone to be able to do their job, to be able to focus, and to be able to also allow the company to innovate and put out new features and new functionality. So when it comes to the process, we have a stage one, which our project manager basically gets all the requirements that the business wants for a particular feature. If they want to have something where they want to offer a new market to our customers, so our project manager would get those requirements. Then it goes on to our tech team to design it, to create the specification, and we then give it to our development team to then estimate it and finally put it in the schedule. So we have this process of design and planning, and this process happens once a quarter. So we basically plan our roadmap 3 months ahead. And so at the end of prior to the end of the third month, that's when we plan another projects for the next 3 months. So this is a process that happens every 3 months. And once we determine the schedule, the next step is basically to develop and test it and release whatever feature or product that we want to release. And this is the cycle that we have. We use a sort of a variation of an Agile process. Our process of developing and releasing new product happens every 4 weeks. I know with Agile, they stress every 2-week iteration, but in our case, what fits best for our company is every 4 weeks, and this is the cycle that we repeat basically every 4 weeks of developing whatever product, testing it, and then once it's fully tested, being able to release it to our customers. So again, this happens every 4 weeks, and this is the cycle that we've been able to perfect, and it's really helped us to really stay innovative and really put new features and products to our customers. And some of the benefits that we've found with this sort of process was, having this 4-week iteration cycle allows us to add new features at any time if we wanted to add new features. If there's something that the business discovers while we're developing that a customer or customers require, we have the flexibility to put that in the schedule. It's also very helpful for bugs. With software, you're always going to have bugs, and it's very important for us to be able to fix those bugs and put out a new release of our product. So with this sort of cycle, it allows us to quickly address those bugs during the iteration. And like I said, our product line is scheduled every 3 months, so it enables us to continue to be innovative and put new features out. And some of the challenges that we've discovered is it's very difficult when we have these 4-week iteration cycles to put new features or major enhancements. So if there's a big feature that takes up, say, perhaps a week or a month to implement, then this is something that we don't probably have the flexibility to put that in. So as a result, it would have to go into our backlog for our next scheduled release of products. And another challenge is that with this cycle, you're already, since we're planning every 3 months, you're allocating resources, you're allocating time for developers and testers to basically focus and test certain features that are being developed. So it's very hard to put a new feature or something major in stream when you have resources that have already been allocated to work on certain projects. And again, since we're doing every 4 weeks, some challenges include testing. So, testing is usually at the very end of the cycle, so it puts a lot of stress on myself and our team to really test the new features and ensure that it can be tested within reason so we can push out those features to customers. Okay, so far it's I'm making good time. I guess now I just want to wrap up sort of what sort of advice I would give everyone here in the room. One of the important parts, whether you're starting a company or you're deciding to start a new career, perhaps to move jobs, is that you have to be resilient. And in my case, resiliency is more about not allowing problems that happen when you start a company. It could be anything from, say, a co-founder leaving or employees leaving the company. You don't let those instances prevent you from continuing on your mission and your vision of building whatever product or solution. So you don't let that prevent you from continuing the business. I mean, you have to have that passion to get through those cases and the challenges of building a company. And again, you're resilient because you have this bigger vision. You know in your mind what you want to achieve. In our case, we want to disrupt and provide a solution that allows anyone to create your own bed. So that's our goal, and we don't let your day-to-day sort of issues that may come up building a company get in the way. And when it comes to your college career or your profession, you're always there are always instances where I know in my case, classmates at USC that found it very difficult to either continue engineering for whatever reason, the challenges of either some of the engineering courses, and and in some instances they had to switch majors. If you're passionate, if you know what you want to do or what you want to do in your life or in your career, you won't let those instances of either, whether it be bad grades or challenges with the professor or not being able to complete an assignment, you don't let that get in the way of your ultimate goal, which is, graduating and, whatever, not only graduating, but if you're, in your case, if you want to be the first in your family to graduate school, or you want to, provide a better living for your family, that's your goal. You don't allow anything get in the way of that goal. So you have to have that passion to continue and pursue that despite whatever challenges may get in the way. And then another important part in your career, and especially as an entrepreneur, you have to embrace failure. Let's be honest, you never want anything to fail. Whether it be starting a company, or say, you're working on a project in school, or if you're gonna, go in the workforce, you have to understand that, there's a possibility of that failure, and ensure, I, including myself, I hate those questions when it comes up of, so what happened, or, that embarrassment of, people asking what happened and trying to explain, why something failed. So, you don't allow those sort of instances get in the way and prevent you from doing what you want to do, or if you want to, whether it be starting your company, or, moving to a new job or new career, you don't let that fear of, joining a new going to a new company, or in my case, starting a company and perhaps the failure of it, you don't allow that to prevent you from doing what you want to do. So again, overcoming your fears, and again, just like it states right there, don't allow your fear to inhibit your ability to achieve your goals. And again, like I said, this is something that I always keeps me up at night all the time, is the embarrassment of potentially something happening with the company if it doesn't work out, and again, the embarrassment that comes with it. But again, you just have to accept it, that and hey, if it happens, it happens. But at the same time, you have to be, in order to succeed, you have to learn, you have to fail sometimes. And again, I'll explain with a quote that Albert Einstein said that anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. So everyone, you're going to make mistakes, but bottom line is that it's good, because that means you tried something different. At least in my case, it's starting a company. So, and then lastly, it's about exploration. And I think some of your previous presenters have also touched on this, which is being able to explore, to really grow your career professionally and also personally. And when I say travel, I don't necessarily mean like getting on a plane and going to Europe or anything like that. I guess what I mean is more travel when it comes to your career. If you feel you can, you're not living up to your full potential at a specific at a job or with a company, then by all means, try something different. Go out there and explore what sort of other opportunities are available for you, so you can exercise your full potential. And again, explore. I mean, that's also part of just growing as a professional and as a person. And again, this is another quote from another individual, Ralph Waldo Emerson, that said, don't go where the path may lead. Instead, go where there is no path and leave a trail. So again, all of us, we all have different stories. We've all come to this point, this room, in your cases, to Cañada College. First, we all have different paths to be here. So, and again, my story, your story is different, but that's good, because hey, we all have our own challenges and our own vision in terms of what we want to pursue, and that's something I just wanted to mention with this quote. And like I said from the beginning of my presentation, hopefully in my presentation I understood that it's good to get outside your comfort zone, do something different, whether it be starting your own company, perhaps coming to this classroom, maybe taking a different path, to getting here. I know for me, whenever I travel, if I've been to a certain city and go, and I usually try different streets or different paths to get to a certain area. in a city. And sometimes by taking that different path, you open yourself up to something different, whether it be a new museum or perhaps a new restaurant that you've never been to, because you've always continued on this path to get from point A to point B. But if you try a different route, it may open new opportunities or your eyes to something different. So, and again, this is part of being able to grow both personally and professionally. And this is something that I've learned, and hopefully you've gotten a little bit of advice with that. And yeah, thank you again for having me, and hopefully that's my Twitter handle, David K. Silva, and also you can link with me on LinkedIn. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Oh.
So I have a couple questions for you before I've been monopolized for a second, guys. So the skills that you've learned so that you can code for your company and do that sort of thing, was that something that you learned in class, or things you learned outside of class, things you did on your own? Otherwise, I probably took the wrong classes in college.
No, it's a combination of everything. When you start a company, you have to, one of the key things, you have to learn how to work with other people. Just like in a classroom, you're with other classmates, and sometimes you have to get together to work on a project. And sometimes, you have to work on a project with different classmates that you've never worked with before. So, you have to learn how to work with people that you don't work with, every day. So being able to work with people is very important. So developing that skill set of understanding the other person, how they work and how they study is important. I learned skills in my career at IBM when it comes to process. Important to create a process of developing software. And as a programmer, you just have to read books or watch videos on YouTube. So it's always a continuous process of just of learning and picking up, skills everywhere, whether it be in the classroom, online, or in the job.
Do you have any kind of websites or resources that you found helpful? And also, I would say, what is your favorite programming language, and what have you found most useful in the projects you've been working on? Or languages?
So in terms of websites, it depends. I know for me, I found very helpful YouTube, obviously, when it comes to videos. But depending on what you're studying or depending on what you're trying to learn, there's always tons of websites that are available to you. I think one service I use, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You know what? It's a lot of websites that you just use. So yeah, again, Google's I guess Google's one place you can try. But yeah, in terms of, what was the other question?
Favorite or most used programming language?
Yeah, so
multiple ones.
So yeah, like I said, Java is my preferred language, but as a computer programmer, one of the things that we're very lucky is there are so many languages out there. There are so many opportunities to learn new skill sets. There's always new technologies to improve the user experience or make things a lot easier for the user to interact with, whether it be a website or something on your mobile phone. So that's in itself very exciting for me, because there's always new languages popping up. I've used Ruby. I've used a little bit of Python, to sort of be able to analyze data. So there's always, this is the beauty about computer science. There's so many languages. You're always learning new technologies. So that's something that always keeps me excited and motivated to see how I can improve my process in terms of my role, which is testing our platform.
Thank you very much. Let's give David a hand, and then we'll open up to questions. Does anyone have any questions?
I have two questions. One, how does your company make money? Do you take like a percentage of these bets?
Yes. So we take, I'm glad you asked that question, I didn't elaborate that. So we take, there's two sets of commissions that we charge. So one is we take 5% commission on the winning. So if you won, say you put $10 and you won 10. So we take basically 5% of that $10, and we also charge a transaction fee. So whenever you create a bet, or whenever you bet on something, we also charge a flat transaction fee depending on how much you win. So if you won, say, more than $1,000, not only do we take 5%, but we also take, I think, a $5 transaction fee. So there's two sets of fees that we take from the customer. Our primary revenue generator is through our transaction fee. So we're charging, whether it be $5, $2, or 50 cents per transaction.
Okay, and then you only bet just on sports things, not other things like when a celebrity's gonna have a baby or things that other people bet on?
Soon. So right now, yeah, our focus right now is simply sports. The reason why is, like I alluded to earlier, our key value proposition of our network, our platform, is the ability to settle bets automatically. So we don't want someone to sit in front of a computer and look at either whether it be a television monitor or flipping on American Idol and determining who won it and being able to settle it. So that's why we use all this data, we collect it, we automate it, and we determine the result. However, after saying that, we do have plans to eventually be able to allow users to create your own bet on whether it be who's going to win American Idol, who's going to win the presidential election, and so forth. So that's in the works.
Okay,
You
thank
want to
you.
go down for Jennifer Aniston's baby mom? You can talk after. Question in the back.
What sort of protections do you have in place for not only the end users, like money, and also I would guess because it probably gets placed in a pool, certain services have been, either denial of service attack or other, they've been messed around with creating art, especially with, I can't remember the name of it, like Heartbleed and other like exploits used to pull information out. What protections do you have in place for people's money to basically not be stolen, either through like mailing middle or other attacks?
Yeah, so whenever you place a bet, we take that money and we put it basically in a retainer. So we put that in a separate sort of account within the company, and so so we protect those funds. So that's being regulated. We have to have certain processes and procedures in place, and one of that being a separate, I guess you could say, retainer or bank account that essentially we can access. So we basically move that money into this account, and we cannot touch that as a company. So in the worst case scenario, if our company were to say be bankrupt, the customers' accounts are safe because it's in a separate account and not something that we can touch. Now, when it comes to service DoD attacks, or fortunately we haven't been attacked yet, but we work with our hosting provider to put either hardware and software in place to be able to monitor any sort of unusual activity that may be coming to the website and maybe trying to, like you said, shut down our website with throwing floods of traffic. So, and in that case, if it did happen, our provider, our hosting provider, has a mechanism of being able to basically cut traffic to our server and basically redirect that traffic to a different line, so that traffic can basically go to nowhere and allow us to then open up our site to be still available for our genuine customers that are trying to access our site. So, and that's the thing, that when you start a company, you don't realize especially when you're doing a betting company, when it's heavily regulated. Now I have appreciation of banks, why banks have so much regulation and rules. We have to get a license, we have to have someone deal with money laundering, we have to have protections in place, not only for customers' money, but also have protections in place so that if someone is an addict or a gambling addict, that we can provide advice and basically shut down their account and prevent them from logging into their account and further their addiction of betting. So So yeah, that's something that initially you don't think about, but when you build a company, you realize that there's a lot of rules and regulation. And again, when you're a small company, when you're a startup, every dollar that goes out towards expenses is hard because again, if you don't anticipate it, it hits your money very hard, and you don't want to get to a point where you have to ask for more money from the investors. So, but yeah, that's something that now I know starting a company. Any other questions? Yes.
How are the funds transferred, and how can I avoid paying taxes?
Well, okay, so I forgot to mention this in my presentation. Is our service is not available to any Americans in the U.S. That's because that's part of our license that we cannot accept customers, we cannot accept traffic from certain countries around the world. One of that being the United States. So yeah, if you're an American and you try to access our service, you wouldn't be able to access our service here from the States. B, even if you were able to, say, create an account, say, in Europe, as an American, it's going to be hard for you to deposit money unless you have an international credit card, say, or a bank card, say, in Europe or Asia. So if you're using an American card, our third-party providers that process the money to be basically debited from whether it be your checking account or your debit card. If it's an American card, they're going to decline it. So that money's you're not going to be able to use our service. So yeah, and again, since we are regulated, currently we don't report any taxes to the customers that do win bets. So that's up to them. So it's really up to the customer to, if they want to declare their winnings, to declare it on their tax form. But in that case, we don't have no say. It's really up to the customer to decide whether they want to pay taxes or not.
So I know there was one or two more questions. I think David can stay around for a few minutes to talk to
Absolutely.
you individually if you have more questions than if we need to do a class. Let's give him one more round of applause.